They're gonna co-mediate this thing, moderate this thing for us, and also Mr. Terrace Martin and Rapsody. Make some noise.
Thanks everybody for coming out. We really appreciate it. I'm Montez the Wiz Martin. This is my co-host, Kevin the Moose Anderson. We're Lessons in Jazz. We're world famous Lessons in Jazz. Probably one of the most important rap records to come out in my lifetime. I'm 35 years old, been listening to music since I can remember, but I've never felt more a part of and more passionate and excited about a rap record in my lifetime in a long time. This record meant a lot to me. I tried to push any and everybody I could to get into it. So what I want to start kind of talking to y'all about, there was a film that came on Revolt Television that kind of looked at the production process of To Pimp A Butterfly. And Terrence, you talked about that album started really with Kendrick's trip to Africa. That opened his eyes. So talk to me a little bit about how that trip changed him, what it did to your camp, and we're also going to talk about the song Complexion, because that's a song you're on Rhapsody. We want to also talk about how that bridge was built in creating that song and bringing you into the fold to talk about that. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, home of the Gullah and the Geechees, and one of the things that we always talk about is complexion. I grew up, everybody was calling me red. One of my homeboys that's a little lighter than me, everybody called him high yellow. We deal with this a lot within our community, and I've never heard rappers really touch that subject like that. So I'll go ahead and let y'all touch on those two questions first, and then we'll keep it moving.
What's the first one again?
The trip to Africa that Kendrick took. Yeah, the trip that Kendrick took to Africa. What did that really put on his plate and his mental state?
I don't know exactly everything they put on his personal mental state or spiritual, but what I know it was a difference when he came back home. You know, and we all share. What is that music? What is that music? Oh, that's
They got it.
It's so corny. I mean, if it was Miles Davis or some Herbie Hancock or John Coltrane, Too Short, you know, shit, what the hell is that? Africa. I can't talk about Africa hearing that shit. Nah, but man, when he came back, it without him even saying anything, it just felt like an urgency. Like, cause we was in the studio. When are we not in the studio? But you know, I never could tell when we're going to start an album. I just know we just got to keep showing up, writing, and try to keep coming with ideas, and you know, and just keep going. But when he went on the road, came back from Africa, it just felt like he was wide awake. And when I mean felt like he was wide awake, like you know that feeling after you get up, you take a shower, you're about, you know, right before you put on your clothes, but you're wide awake, you know. He walked with that spirit of just wide awake. And he didn't say nothing for a minute. Then, you know, he started pouring out little things here and there. Then you just heard his conversation change. You know, and that's what I've heard. I heard whenever you go spend a certain amount of time in Africa, your conversation changes. You know, like a lot of my friends and family say, like, you feel strange saying the word nigga. You feel strange. And you know, I grew up in the Crenshaw district, so me and Nipsey Hussle grew up young together, like very close best friends. And he is Eritrean, so he grew up going back and forth to Africa young. So early he would come back and tell me stories. He was like, yo, keep your passport on you. Because he told me a story real quick, how him and his brothers had gotten into a little fight in Africa, whatever, like a little club fight.
Okay.
And the authorities came and arrested everybody, but they let the locals go. And it was Nipsey and a few of his cousins, and the guy had a cane, or the police had a cane. He was like, he kept asking him, what are you? Like, what are you? Right? And then he kept saying, I'm saying nothing to this nigga. Every time he said nigga, do it. Bang! What are you? Bang! He said by the time that he got up, they all started fighting again. He said, come to find out, the dude was teaching him a lesson. Because they knew that he was American and everything. And, you know, they saw him as a brother, but like a brother that kind of got away.
Gotcha.
You feel me? When Kendrick came back, fast forward 10 years later, I recognized that same thing. And I was like, you know, then the record started changing, the concept started changing. We're always thinking about the movement, but now we just ain't thinking about South Central and Compton because the homie didn't see where it is at. You know what I'm saying? So it just came to a more reality, like, yo, we have a huge responsibility that we're not touching on, that we still need to figure out how to touch the hood and touch Africa. Because they are the same, but they both are ran a little different, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Sorry I was so fucking long.
No, man, that's cool. Because this gives folks an idea of at least a starting point of the process and where all of your heads were. And that's a big thing that a lot of people don't understand, is that worldview. Once you step outside of the States and you start to travel and you start to see how different folks will try to teach you a lesson in that manner. They won't tell you anything, but they will teach you a lesson through their actions, as opposed to saying, hey, go do this, hey, go do that, touch here, touch there. But going back to the song Complexion, because I want to talk about a lot of different songs on the record, because there's so many messages within there, and that monologue that he continuously builds on. Rapsody, how was it for you to hear one of your fellow brothers coming in and wanted to talk about complexion, talk about the degradation of women, all of these different subject matters that are in the subject, within that track just itself? Because I mean, that one track alone is heavy by itself.
Oh man, I was excited to do it. I knew what that trip was going to do for him, because I've been to Africa twice. The first time I went was in 2012, I went again in 2014. So I knew what it was going to do to him. I knew it was going to change him. How exactly, I don't know, but I knew it was going to change him in a positive way. But you know, when he called me and he told me the idea and the concept, he was like, you know, I just really want to do something for our people, you know, because it's something that we battle with. And leaving America and going to Africa, it's like you take yourself from out the middle and now you're on the outside looking in. And that's how you see things totally different when you're there. And it just feels like home. Everywhere you go, there's somebody that looks like you. You turn on the radio, and it's not bullshit. Like it feels like when I was growing up, and you turn on the radio and you hear conversations. Like if you read Coldest Winter Ever, it'd be like conversations like that she was listening to on the radio. You know, you don't hear about somebody dying every day. Like it's community. I went to a bride, which is an African cookout, and everybody eats from the same plate. So it's just, it's really community and family. It's all love. And there's a story, like Knife went for the first time. He was like, when you go, give me your passport, the first thing you're gonna say is welcome home. And I was excited to hear that, like I was really excited. So I'm like, okay, I get off the airplane, I give the lady my passport. That's what I'm waiting to hear, like welcome home. Like, yep, cha-ching, I'm here, I made it. And she goes, can I ask you a question? I was like, yeah, you can ask me whatever. She says, are the women in America really like the ones on Love and Hip Hop? That's what I got. I didn't get welcome home. I got that question. Like, right off the airport. I hadn't touched foot on dirt or anything.
Threw you for a little loop right there.
Yeah, threw me for a loop. And right then it just made me think of, you know, what it is like back home and how the world sees us. And you know, it just changed my perspective. So when he called me, you know, he told me the idea, like I was excited because it is something that we all deal with growing up. I dealt with it growing up. You know, I got a sister who, you know, people used to call her High Yellow, and I was one of the darker ones in the family. So, you know, you go outside and play, you come back in, and summertime, like, oh, you black, or, you know, don't crawl on your knees on the carpet, they're gonna get it black. And so you like, being darker than what you are is not a good thing. That's what you go in your head. So, you know, it affected me where I didn't think I was as beautiful. You turn on the TV and the guys are lusting for the lighter skinned women. And then you have this thing where, you know, it's light-skinned women versus dark-skinned women, like, but you know, it's dark-skinned, oh, y'all think y'all pretty, and it's the jigaboos versus the wannabes.
I love all the women.
I know you do. All shades.
That's right. That's right.
No discrimination.
None whatsoever.
No discrimination. Right, so, but it's crazy, like, this has been going on since slavery, right? And it's 2016 and it's still going on, because I have a niece, and I say about a couple of years ago, she was 4 years old, and I spoiled them, like I would always babysit them, take them to get Barbie dolls, and she would never want a black Barbie doll, never. I was like, why you don't want the black one? She said, she's not pretty. Always the white ones with the blonde hair, or the white ones, if they had to be white. And so it hurt me that's how she looked at herself, because she's dark skinned too. So, you know, my sister would always tell me, like, when you go, you make sure you get her a black Barbie doll. She can't have no more. And it's not, you know, she has enough, but she has to learn too that you are beautiful, and black Barbies are just as beautiful as these. So, you know, it was a great subject to touch on, because music is so powerful, you know, and for Kendrick to be on the platform that he is, and to talk about something like this, knowing the people that it's going to reach, all colors, all around the world, like, that was important. And you know, music is a catalyst for change, for conversation. It starts conversation. When you start conversation, you start change. And you know, that helps people to, you know, tackle these things, like, why do we do this? There's no need, like, we're all beautiful. Because I remember he was like, yeah, I went to Cape Town and I just looked out and I just saw all these different shades of beautiful people and women. Mm-hmm. And they all got along, coexisted together, and that's how it should be here. So that's what Complexion did for me.
That's excellent, that's excellent. And one of the things that I know some of my friends and I have been talking about after listening to the record, even before listening to the record, is bringing down some of those walls that we have between ourselves and our community, lights versus darks, or even a step further, just the different clothes that you wear, because that's something that I really didn't have to deal with in the South versus something that you all had to deal with in the West Coast with the gang culture and wearing red versus blue. I know you're from North Carolina.
You said y'all, I know.
We all meet at Kendrick, Terrace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dipsy, all of those. What's going on within our community is the fact that we build so many walls amongst each other. You're not wearing the same color shirt as me, so I don't like you and I'm not going to associate with you. Or you got on a red sock and a blue sock, and he's got on a green sock and an orange sock, so I'm gonna go over here with these guys. Talk to me a little bit about bringing down some of those walls with the music, and what that means to you all when you're recording and when you're putting your music out. Is there any kind of thought process that goes into trying to tear down those divisive walls within our communities?
Yeah, well, about, I don't know when exactly, but as far as I can remember, by me being a real Los Angeles native, the fighting over the colors stopped maybe 25 something years ago in Los Angeles. I grew up in a Crip neighborhood. Most of my family's are Crips and everything, and when I was coming up, those walls did tear down, but not for the right shit. It went all the way left. And then the Crips started fighting the Crips, the Bloods started fighting the Bloods. Now the Crips and Bloods are predominantly black gangs. So you see what happened? It didn't matter, blood or Crip, red or green. You don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You know, because in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is in the Crenshaw district, Crenshaw and Slauson, every 4 blocks, it's a person that looks just like me, that hates me. Every 4 blocks, and the blocks are short in South Central. And sometimes you gotta walk a few blocks or you gotta catch the bus. Now just because you catch the bus, you don't avoid these blocks, you go through these blocks, and the same dudes that's hating you and you're hating them for no reason are hopping on this bus. So my generation, we grew, I didn't know who was who. All I know is right, the neighborhood I come from, you know, and in LA we have a, you know, you can kind of tell, like anywhere else, who comes from who. who says different things, but it was more confusing for us because we grew up in the era, at least in the early 80s, if he had on red, he was a blood. If he had on blue, he was a Crip. Let's stay away from over there. My thing was a little tricky, a little different. Kendrick thing was the same way, we same generation. So it's kind of like, that wall was torn down. That's why we didn't have a place to go other than let's just deal with us as a people. Because he comes from a blood neighborhood, and I come from a Crip neighborhood. And if this was in the 80s, we don't even know why we would not work together, but we probably wouldn't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We can't work together. I don't know why, but
I can't work with you.
Because the gangbang manual says on page 364, if the other person has on 65% red, and yeah, so we, you know, but now it's like we way past that. So just us as a people, and then what we realized before doing this record is we are really we're anti-self-hate, you know, because it's weird. Like if a dude that looks just like me walks down the street, I shouldn't be worried about him. Because in South Central, I remember when dreads wasn't popular, if a dude just had dreads, we wouldn't look at him. And then we found out he was the one with the guns. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then if you think about it, and Nipsey Hussle taught me this, young. He explained self-hate, and I said, man, what is that? What is that? And he was young, he was like, man, get up, and we went to the bathroom, and he said, man, let's just look in the mirror. Let's just look in the mirror. He said, now, you see somebody that looks just like you, and for no reason, you wanna kill him. Like, you looking at yourself. That's how deep he is, you know what I'm saying? And I think putting that into the music was a big thing for us. And to me, that is what we deal with. We deal with Africa, but at the same time we was doing this record, we lost about 5, 6, 7 homies too.
Right.
You know? And that's another hard mental thing to think so far as dealing with Africa, but when you walk outside in your backyard, you can't go to your mama's house because the block is roped off.
Right.
And it's like I'm thinking about Africa, but shit, the homie right here. By another homie that looked like him, ain't nobody marching for this black on black shit.
But we get upset when
pouring all that into the music.
Right. We get upset when Pop kills a young brother, XYZ, but we won't get upset when we kill each other. I feel you 100%. And one of the other things that really touched me with the record was that track You, and the perspective that you could hear from.
Which one is You? I don't remember the titles really.
Okay. Loving You is complicated.
Oh, okay. Because in my head it's like Kendrick 4-16. 65. Like they're not, you know what I'm saying?
Right. It took me a little while to get around to really digesting that track, but I heard the different perspectives. Him talking about one of the homies getting shot, and the perspective of the homies that are still in LA that are like, well, where were you? Where were you when this happened? You were supposed to be here. You said you were going to be here for us. And I think that's something else that a lot of fans of rap music and hip hop hadn't heard. They hadn't heard a rapper get to that level and still talk about having to deal with those kinds of traumatic issues. Losing a friend while you're 1,000 miles away on the other side of the country, and then the ramifications of the friends that you still have at home that are kind of upset with you that you were not around. So that was something else that I took away from the project that I thought was just really deep, because I don't know if everybody in this room has had to deal with it, but let's just get a little sample group. How many of you have had to deal with the death of a loved member at an adolescent age? That speaks volumes. Just look around the room. Keep your hands up. Don't put them down. Just keep your hands up. That speaks volumes. That speaks volumes as to where we are in our community. And a lot of the older generation may not necessarily understand how that feels. I remember when I lost my first friend in high school, my parents really didn't know how to come to me and how to console me because they never had to deal with something like that. And that's something that I thought was very powerful that Kendrick brought to the forefront of that. I want to get into some of the musical influences real quick, because we don't have a whole lot of time. For those of you who are not familiar, Mr. Terrace Martin was a great jazz musician, played with a lot of jazz artists. We could sit here for 3 days talking about all the jazz musicians that you've been exposed to. But that was the other piece of the record that really caught my attention, being that we do a jazz and hip hop show, was the fact that there was such a huge jazz infusion into the record. How did that even come into the play? Was that your idea? Was it Kendrick's? Was it something that y'all were kind of throwing up against the wall?
Nah, man, we are fans of soul music.
Gotcha.
So for me, and I know we have to identify these things with jazz, these terms and everything, but when people say, To Pimp A Butterfly, jazz record, this record, and I think of songs like Wesley's Theory and all these other type of things, like, I like to think of To Pimp A Butterfly as just a new fusion of black music, not just, the jazz aspect and everything, because my theory is you can't talk to everybody with the same language. You understand what I'm saying? There's no way Herbie Hancock would have ever listened to Pimp A Butterfly if the music was in a safe palette, because he's an older gentleman, for him to grasp that. There's no way that my mother, there's no way, So we had to touch all areas of that. And then, my parents are like, why does he cuss so much? Why does he cuss so much? And, why does he say nigga so much? Why cuss? Why say nigga? Why say cuss? God, can y'all do something without cussing? Can y'all do something? Can y'all do something? And then we had the Grammys. Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. But I explained to people, we cuss a lot. And, it's like, I know a lot of people, that's how they talk all day. And we gotta communicate with them as well too. It's all of us. We all together. You know what I'm saying? That's why you can eat certain things and like the kids love "We Gonna Be Alright." Cause the beat it gets them, and then they sit back and we are gonna be alright. Listen to what he's saying.
I was listening to the engineer that mixed the album down on that Out of the Cocoon, Ali, and he was saying that nobody had ever said that to him in his life, that things were gonna be alright. And he said that had a personal connection with him. And
I know his story. He's a real one. He's my friend for years. His story is another story where he didn't know that. He didn't know it was gonna be alright. He could have made a left turn. Top Dog opened his door, changed that kid's whole life. He'd been from the slums to the Grammys and still working hard every day. So I remember when he was mixing that record, and I remember him spreading that record out, and it was like he was painting pictures, man. It was just, he believed in it. He believed in it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't believe in their own shit. He believed in that.
Right.
And I was like, what is it?
You saw the change in him.
Yeah, that was a sober night for me. I saw the change in that night.
What are some of the things that you pull from the record, Rapsody, just as a fan and a listener? What are some of the things that stand out to you on a musical tip? Because again, it does explore black culture. I mean, you've got funk in there, you've got jazz, you got soul, you got R&B, you got a lot of elements in there. What were some of the things that struck you about the overall project?
Everything struck me.
I could dig
everything. What I loved about it was just black. It was black music at a time where we weren't getting a lot of albums that were all the way black. Right?
Does that frustrate y'all? Being in the industry? And being a part of trying to promote black culture and not seeing enough of it.
The business is frustrating for me, but at the end of the day, I was just taught you do what feels right, you do as you, and it'll all just come how it comes. Once you stop chasing things that you don't want, you don't need, that's not in your makeup, you find this freedom, and everything just falls into place like it's supposed to. But you gotta trust and just let go and follow where the music takes you. That's where my whole career has been. Like at the point I stopped chasing things that I ain't really need, that I didn't fit in, I found my own path. Everybody got a path. We all can't coexist in the same path. Knight broke it down to me like there's however many billion people on this earth or whatever. He was like, why as artists are we trying to get this same group of people and neglecting this group over here? Like, if this is who rock with it, then that's who rock with it. So, that's what I did. That's what I loved. It was just black and it felt free, and I love that there was, you had the jazz, you had the soul, you had the hip hop. It's like T said, like it spoke to so many people. Like I played it for my mom, I was like, listen to this. And King Kunta came on, she's like, well, that sounds like James Brown. I said, yep. And she connected with it instantly. And it was just something like, you know, you as a group of people, whether it's you and your mom or you and your homeboy, like you bridging this gap and everybody's just connecting with this good music. And that's what I loved about it. And it was honest, you know, and he told stories like, that's the kind of music I love. Like it has something for everybody, for every emotion. And it was just black music, like unapologetically black music. So.
Very much so, very much so. Let's fast forward. Once the album has been released, critics are writing, accolades are coming in, and then we get to the Grammys. What did that mean to you, to both of you? You know, going from the start of the project and then into its reception and how it impacted the world, and what it meant to you all to see that the maturation of the project.
You want me to take this? I was on what song? You did the whole thing.
And for those of you who do not know, Terrace is pretty much on every song on the record. He's doing something, whether it's playing an instrument, producing, co-producing something. This brother is almost on every track on the record.
No, you. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
My whole thing was, and so was Kendrick. Like the Grammys was cool, but the performance was the focus for us.
Absolutely.
Because we said, and they said, y'all gonna play at the Grammys. He was like, okay, cool. You feel me? Like, okay. So now we can paint the picture one good time. We can paint the picture and just don't say sorry and don't give a fuck and do it one good time. I don't know if they're gonna let us back in after this shit. One good time. So even if we don't win now, we ain't tripping on winning or losing. We really wasn't tripping at all. It was just, because I remember when it was the early part of the day of the Grammys was handed out, sound like everybody?
Yeah.
Just the whole day, like the Grammys is a all day thing. But I remember me, like, I was so into that performance, being with that band all day at sound checking, going over the parks. We had some amazing young musicians, like 18, 19 years old, like kids that has never played on the stage. The keyboard player, I picked him up 2 days before we had to get to the Grammys because the other keyboard player was stuck somewhere. You know, and he's an 18-year-old kid from Milwaukee. I heard him in a nightclub play like Jamaica Funk and just guessed maybe he's cool. He has an afro. He looks soulful and good. I'm saying, so it was like, that shit was like a movie in my head the whole time because we rehearsed so much, and that day I didn't even go to the Grammys. I was at the Staples Center just with the band, just making sure we was humming our parts, going over the parts. And I walked past Layla Hathaway and Kurt Franklin. Layla said, congratulations, you won like 2 Grammys. And I was like, cool. No, I was really like cool because my whole thing was like, this performance, I knew what it was gonna be because we was there for sound check and nobody seen it yet. So I just knew, and my thing was like, cool. I just wanted to stay focused. It was so spiritual, and we made it a point at the rehearsals not to replay things. We never played that thing twice the same way. We left room for error at the fucking time of the television. And that's important, to welcome the mistake in any of your music, in any of your creativity. And it's important to go through challenges and everything because there was a lot of politics and changing the times and everything, but we kept that shit honest and cried throughout the, like, whoa. It was like, and then you looking at Herbie Hancock, Common, Rhapsody, my mama, Top. You know, my mama, Top. But you looking at everybody that made this shit happen, and it's like, somewhere it's a little kid saying, I gotta do that shit. Like when I first saw LL on American Music Awards do I'm Bad with the Troop outfit on, right? I said, I can't wear that red shit in my neighborhood, but I gotta do that. And Truth didn't make nothing blue, so my mama bought me a Truth outfit. And I had a little scuffle when they took it off the next day. But yeah, that was the energy and the focus. And not to be funny, man, but I love Spike Lee, so I just kept hearing like the Malcolm X score my whole day, because that performance was inspired by, we're always inspired by Terrace Martin and Spike Lee and just that whole movement of all the Spike films and everything.
Yes.
You know, so we just wanted to paint that picture, man. And then, you know, when things started winning more and more, it was like, yo, they like us. They like us. You know, and it was a good thing, man. I think, and then I'm just happy that we were able to inspire. That's the only shit. As long as you can inspire and each one teach one. So that the Grammy performance was just a way to touch people that has never heard or never even seen or don't even know what we are going through over here in America.
Right.
We have allies that can help us. Some people just really don't know what's going on in America because we so strange over here and they living cool other places, you feel me? So, but that was that.
Absolutely. We only got about 5 more minutes. We're gonna open it up to a quick Q&A for both Rapsody and Terrace Martin. So we just want you to patiently, calmly, raise your hand if you got a question. We'll try to get to as many folks as we possibly can. Start with my man here in the front, LA Hat.
Do you think Kendrick and artists such as yourself has kind of kicked the door for a shift? There's so much oversaturation of certain music, you know, if you're on the radio or otherwise. Do you think you guys have kicked the door open, or are you on the verge of kicking it open, or is this, you don't know where it's going, or it's kind of your thoughts on that?
You know, To Pimp A Butterfly is over. That sound will never be brought back again, and that was yesterday. So we just, we're really inspired by life more than music. So I don't even know how to answer that, because I don't even look, that shit is over. Like, I'll never play the same way. We'll never produce the same way. He'll never rap the same. It's over. So I think for us, and we understand that, and we understand the art and the foundation of jazz music, which is about the now and not the yesterday, but still having traces of yesterday to even move forward to now. So I think us knowing that, I think we assisted the door. We didn't really kick it down. It's a lot of bad motherfuckers out here that just ain't got the spotlight, you know. So I think an underground art, because that's an underground record to me. That is music that they wouldn't even play in the club, you know what I'm saying? So I think we definitely added to the challenge. We challenge you to make great music. We challenge you to be creative. We challenge you not to just put the beat all out, shift to put the beat all out, can't put the beat. Although I love that. I love that. But we gotta push hard, man, and try not to do the shit we did yesterday. That's what's gonna inspire the kids.
Yeah, just speaking from a fan, though that's my peer, I'm still a fan of his music, and I'm never ashamed to say that. Like, I think as artists, like, we get, you know, we compete so much, we scared to say that we like each other's shit. Like, I'm a big fan of Kendrick's. But, you know, that's what the music did for me. It inspired me to do better, to be more creative, to think outside the box. And I think that's the shift, if anything, that it did. It's like you said, it challenged artists to make dope music, and I hear it. Like, I hear artists, and especially to make that album and get nominated 11 times, one less than Michael Jackson. It's like, damn, we don't have to do this cookie cutter shit and follow us on the radio. Like, we can be us and do what we used to do and make great music however that comes to us, however our flow, our energy is, that's what we're gonna do. Beyonce made a credible album. Alicia Keys just dropped some dope music. J-Rock put out a crazy album. Velvet Portraits, like, you know, so it's just dope music all around, and I think, you know, that definitely assisted it, being that he has the platform he has and he made the album that he has. And, you know, that day at the Grammys, they're like, oh, do you want him to win? It's like, of course I want him to win, but if he don't, so what? The impact that this album has is better than any Grammy, like the impact alone. So, you know, that's the beauty of To Pimp A Butterfly to me and what it did.
We got time for one more question. My man Moose is in the audience. He's gonna grab somebody. He's got the mic. Bam, hit it.
This question is for Rap. As an MC who is in love with the craft and in love with the process, what was your process when you sat down with your pen and pad to write the verse for Complexion? Like, where was your mind at that point to sit down and write that verse?
After he called me, I think I talked to him, it was like noon on the East Coast. I took a nap, because I was like, yo, because they weren't giving a lot of information. Like, Terrace was not giving me, I ain't no title, I ain't no nothing. I didn't hear his verse. He didn't tell me nothing about his verse. He's like, the title is Complexion. I want to do something for our people. Do your thing. So it's like, it's like pressure, but it's not pressure. I had to tell myself, like, you can't overthink it. Like, he tapped you for a reason, so you just got to do you. So I took a nap, so I wasn't overthinking it. I got up. Duke game was on. I'm a big Duke fan, so I watched the Duke game. Because Ninth was coming in like later that night, so I had a little bit to write it. So I wrote like half of it, and then I started overthinking, so I stopped. I was like, nope, I'm gonna watch some more of the Duke game. And then I'm gonna finish it. And it's like, all right, this is what I got. And then they'll tell you in the studio, like, I'm a perfectionist. I'll write something over. I'll do a song 10 times, because I don't think it. Knife is like, I like all of these, I don't know which verse to pick. But, you know, I told myself, like, nah, this is it. This is the one. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna change it. And that's what it was. You know, I sent it to him, like, he's gonna like it or he's not gonna like it. So, you know, I just had to trust, like, he tapped you for a reason, so just do you. And that's what it was. And, you know, just to draw from personal experience and to tell my story as far as the subject matter, you know, and the story of my nieces, and, you know, just to inspire kids to love themselves. So.
Word up. We want to thank Rapsody and Brother Terrence coming out here today.
We're going to get like 2 more questions.
We can get one more? We can get one more question.
He said 2. He said he told me.
I did get rid of 2.
You want 2? All right. Man back here in the shirt. What's up?
Yeah, so with an album like that, with all the success and impact, it seems like a lot of people involved like spark another move of creativity and like feel excited to go on to the next thing. But for Kendrick himself, you know, being so honest and thoughtful and involved, do you see him sort of taking a step back for a bit and kind of going into that role of just moving like prepping for the next thing, or do you see him extra excited to jump into something?
I can't speak for Kendrick.
You gotta ask him.
Yeah, I can't even tell you what. We can't speak for him as a.
For y'all, seeing all the success and the impact, what does that do for you?
Shit, we gone. We flying, baby. Nah, it just, when you on a record at that level that touches so many different levels, it helps. So I think about it. Kamasi Washington did the string arranging. He has a record called The Epic out.
And it is the epic.
And it's the epic, right? God. It, on the jazz level, it helped him. Boom, right? You have Thundercat, which, whatever his sound, his thing was, it helped him kind of boom. And you got me, I'm kind of like, I'm the producer. You know what I'm saying?
He's a secret weapon.
Yeah, I still don't get all the calls of all the records though.
I called you.
Yeah, you go, you know what I'm saying? But and I don't take every project. I will never be a prostitute of this business, so I don't take everything that comes at me. Period. But going back to those layers of different sounds, it helped out whoever was in that layer. It helped them out to the best of that capacity. That's what I noticed about the record. Like, if you was the jazz guy, it helped you out. Robert Glasper, he's been the guy, but it helped him bring in more hip hop awareness, you know. And every time we got him, it helped us bring us other kind of. Layla Hathaway. I forget about the golden voice that really is the. You know, that is the greatest singer of our time is Layla Hathaway, and she's on the record. You know what I'm saying? So it just helped everybody, man.
We got one more young lady in the back.
got a big ass family now. Like, I really, they all my cousins.
Being so selfish, how important is it for you to keep everybody connected?
It's important to me, and I learned that because my early heroes were the gangsters in my neighborhood, and it was a set of gangsters that was pushing a negative line with murder and everything like that. But it was a set of OGs that inspired a lot of us, like that were monsters on certain areas, but understood community, and they protected my community, and they raised me. Before I played the saxophone, you know, I wanted to be one of them. That's what I seen growing up. I wanted to be all the money, all the dude, all this, all that, and they always would steer me in a way and be like, yo, this is before I played music, yo, you need to find something to do. You're a strange kid. You should find something to do. And I'd be like, no, I'm trying to be like you. But they would, later on, 20 years later, I found out that they would let me hang with them, and they would be calling my mother, checking in, because they would be, anyway, but I learned from them, a couple of the guys that was pushing the positive line in my neighborhood, that the fellowship is very important, the communication is very important, and the family is very important, and loyalty is extremely important. You know, the area I come from is a certain part I remember it before it hit negative was the loyalty it meant. You know, like the word CRIP, it meant community research and progress at one point. And it got twisted up later on in the early 80s. So my OGs that I looked up to come from an earlier aspect of gangbanging, which really is rooted back, if you think about Chicago, and if you get deeper, even in Africa, it gets deep like that. So I grew up understanding loyalty and the fellowship. And I grew up with the same crew.